December 31st, 2023. Mr. McKeon.
Yes. Good evening. Thank you all. This is probably the second most popular tax budget public hearing in the last decade. So enjoy the
Thank you to
attendance.
Chief Nesbitt and the crew.
Yeah, yeah. So resolution 2022 R19E tonight contemplates approval of our annual tax budget. This is an exercise we go through every summer, kind of at the mid-budget cycle, but it is a rough first blush of what we think a budget might look like. This is far more generic than the budget process that we are getting ready to start here in another 3 weeks or so, as we start to really work in earnest of what will be the actual budget, where we work at a really detailed level with the departments and then present a budget for your consideration in December. There's the assumptions are spelled out kind of after the resolution, fairly high level. We keep everything was fairly flat. 2022 is seeing nice returns to normalcy. Income tax remains strong, and some of the other charges for service lines are beginning to at least incrementally get back to pre-pandemic kind of levels. For several reasons, we left our expense budget relatively flat. We did kind of round up a lot of the non-personnel costs, especially due to what we're seeing with inflation. Second half of 2022, we're going to come back in here. Inflation is going to hit kind of the non-personnel part of the budget in a lot of areas like fuel quite hard. There's several exhibits in here. Schedule A is about property taxes, of which there are none. So that one is blank. Schedule A and B are. Exhibit 1 goes through general fund revenues. So this spells out our revenues, actual revenues in 2021 compared to what we budget right now for 22 and what our early estimates are for 23. Exhibit 2 goes through the general fund expense budget. It's at a department level, and I think I've mentioned in previous years public hearings for this. It's an interesting. Our financial statements don't always go down to this level. So it is a concise, because it's not 1,400 lines like our expense budget is, but in 2 pages it kind of breaks things down at a nice level. You can see we project a balanced budget in 22 and again in 23. Exhibit 3 kind of goes through at a more summary level of what the non-general fund, our special revenue, our debt service, our capital project funds are. Exhibit 6 goes through our debt that's outstanding to date. This sheet is a little bit cleaner than it was. The notes that were on here last year were recently paid off late May, early June. So. Any questions about the proposed tax budget?
Anybody have questions? Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Is there any questions from the audience about our tax budget? I know it's so... Go ahead, come on, my favorite resident.
Just wondering, is it a tax increase, or is the tax level going to be the same percentage, or?
So I can answer that. So
Yeah.
the biggest piece of this is what we collect from an inside millage for the city of Sharonville, which means property tax to the city of Sharonville. Do you know what your property tax to the city of Sharonville is? 0.
That's
This maintains it at 0. So
Since 1984.
yeah. So that's
I'm wondering
really
about the earnings tax.
earnings tax is the same.
Same.
No changes to the earnings tax.
And I tell a lot of people about the property tax, how high it is in Sharonville, and I told them for all the time.
You have to talk to Hamilton County on that.
Right.
Good deal. Anyone else have any questions? Seeing none, that is going to conclude our public hearing for our tax budget. Thank you. And I will call to order now our regular council meeting. If everyone would please rise, we're going to have a moment of silent prayer, and then Mr. Schmidt is going to lead us in the Pledge of Allegiance.
To the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. You can all be seated. And I apologize, I'm going to be...
Here.
Okay, thank you. Mr. Wilson,
Here.
Mr. Coulter,
Here.
Mr. Cook,
Here.
Mr. Lovett,
Here.
Mrs. Knight,
Here.
and Mr. Schmidt.
Here.
Perfect, thank you. Approval of minutes. Are there any additions or corrections to the regular council meeting of June 21st to the minutes? Seeing none, those stand as written and approved. Reports and communication, Mayor Hardman.
So I am going to ask Ms. Hoppy if you would step down with me and Chief Nesbitt to come on forward here, because we have the pleasure of officially swearing in. They're not necessarily new in the fact that they've actually been working with us for a little while now, but it's always nice to finally get these official duties out of the way. Cody, come on down, sir. And the first one up, this is Cody Ashcraft. Cody was born and raised in Harrison, Ohio. He was a student athlete playing football and basketball for William Henry Harrison High School and graduated in 2011. He attended and graduated from the University of Cincinnati in 2015, where he earned his bachelor's degree in criminal justice. He attended the Great Oaks Police Academy and graduated in January of 2016. Previous to joining us here with the Sharonville Police Department, he was employed as a clerk and then police officer with the Colerain Township Police Department for 7 years. While there, he was a field training officer, firearms instructor, and was a member of the Hamilton County Police Association SWAT team for roughly 4 years. He's married to his wife, Melissa, and together they have a 2-year-old daughter named Raylan and a son due in August. In his off time, this is my favorite part of this, is the dating profile at the end. In his off time, he enjoys spending time with family and friends, being outdoors, and golfing. Who do you have with you tonight, Cody? Go ahead and introduce your family and friends that are here tonight.
I've got my wife, Melissa, my daughter, Raylan, Lou, my grandma, her friend Ray, my dad is going to be in the black shirt over there, my mom, my mother-in-law, my father-in-law, and then my buddy Chris.
Your job is very important to have those kind of people to be with you and behind you and support you, and I think our area is especially aware of that after some of the events of our past couple of weeks. So if you'll raise your right hand, Cody, and repeat after me. I state your name.
I, Cody Ashcraft,
Do solemnly swear
do solemnly swear
that I will support the Constitution
that I will support the Constitution
of the United States of America,
of the United States of America,
the Constitution and laws of the state of Ohio,
the Constitution and laws of the state of Ohio,
and the city of Sharonville,
and the city of Sharonville,
and that I will honestly and faithfully
and that I will honestly and faithfully
discharge the duties of the office
discharge the duties of the office
of police officer,
of police officer,
to which I have been appointed
to which I have been appointed
according to law
according to law
and to the best of my ability.
and to the best of my ability.
Congratulations, sir.
Thank you.
And we will take a short break after we do all 3 of these so that y'all can get pictures and all that good fun stuff too. So let's grab our next one here. Cody, you walked away before you grabbed this, so this is yours. All right. Chris Newsome. Chris was born and raised in northeastern Ohio. He also was a student athlete playing football and basketball for New Philadelphia High School before graduating in 2018. He began his career with the Cleveland Clinic Police Department, working with the Special Treatment Unit for those with mental illnesses in 2019. He went on to complete his associate's degree at Kent State University in criminal justice law in 2021. He then decided to enlist in the Army National Guard, where he is currently serving as a motor transport operator. He graduated from the Hocking College Basic Peace Officer Academy in the spring of 2022, and he enjoys playing golf, spending time with his loved ones, and is excited to serve the great community of Sharonville. Chris, tell us who's with you tonight here.
Okay. First up is my best friend Kyle, best friend's father Todd, my girlfriend Olivia, and my father Roy.
All right, if you raise your right hand and repeat after me, I state your name.
I, Christian Newsome,
Do solemnly swear
do solemnly swear
that I will support the Constitution
that I will support the Constitution
of the United States of America,
of the United States of America,
the Constitution and laws
the Constitution and laws
of the state of Ohio
of the state of Ohio
and the city of Sharonville,
and the city of Sharonville,
and that I will honestly and faithfully
that I will honestly and faithfully
discharge the duties of the office
discharge the duties of the office
of police officer
of police officer
to which I have been appointed
to which I have been appointed
according to law
according to law
and to the best of my ability.
and the best of my ability.
Congratulations. All right. And Joel, come on down. You're our last contestant on. This is your last. Swear 'em in. Here we go. All right. Well, I gave away your bio. Here it is. So this is Joel Altman. Joel, I'm just glad you're a little older than those last two guys. That's all that I'm happy with. A little closer to my age. Was born and raised in Sharonville, and he grew up on Surfwood Lane. I know somebody else who lives in that area. Okay. He graduated from the University of Cincinnati and had a 10-year federal career as a federal police officer. He served in the U.S. Coast Guard and was deployed twice for humanitarian relief missions. He is an author. I like this one. He is an author of children's books, having written 3 books for the Cincinnati Reds, one for the University of Cincinnati, and others that support nonprofits and schools around the country. After leaving Washington, D.C., Joel was a Hamilton County Park Ranger before joining us here at the Sharonville Police Department. He also works for a private canine company that partners with Major League Baseball and the National Football League at large events, conducting explosive detection. His wife, Ashley, from the great state of Virginia, is a nurse practitioner, and his children, Megan, Ryan, and Eric, enjoy coming to Sharon Woods and going to Skyline. So who's here with you, Joel?
There's my wife Ashley there, little Ryan behind her there, and baby Eric there, and Megan, my daughter, right there. And it's been a long journey for me. For 40 years, I wanted to be a Sharonville police officer. It took me this long, but I made it, and I just want to serve the people of Sharonville and this department to the best of my ability. So thank you.
Awesome, Joel. And we are glad to have you with all of your unique background and experiences, which you would have had if you gotten here faster, right? Raise your right hand and repeat after me. I state your name.
I, Joel Altman,
Do solemnly swear
do solemnly swear
that I will support the Constitution
that I will support the Constitution
of the United States of America,
of the United States of America,
the Constitution and laws
the Constitution and laws
of the state of Ohio
of the state of Ohio
and the city of Sharonville,
and the city of Sharonville,
and that I will honestly and faithfully
and that I will honestly and faithfully
discharge the duties
discharge the duties
of the office of police officer
of the office of police officer,
to which I have been appointed
to which I've been appointed
according to law
according to law
and to the best of my ability.
to the best of my ability.
Congratulations,
Thank
Joel.
you.
All right, if the president of council is so willing, we're going to take a short little recess to give, let's bring all 3 of our new officers up so we can get a nice group picture with all 3 of them. Chief, come on, Vicky. And then family, take whatever pictures you want while we take this little downtime.
Pictures after this picture, we're gonna make you run the gauntlet. And if your training officer
Right.
didn't tell you what that was, you have to shake hands with all these people or fist bump or whatever you're comfortable with.
Come on in here, guys. Line up, 3 of you. Chief, get in here.
20.
All right. Now get some pictures with your family. So congratulations, guys.
Don't forget they all want to.
recently that there's something we've been neglecting to do for a while. So apparently the Ohio Revised Code requires that I report to you at the first meeting of every month information about what's happening in the mayor's court. So we will be doing that. So we collected in May of 2022 $13,859 in court cost fees, fines, and reimbursements. For a greater breakdown of that, those will be part of the minutes we'll provide to Terry, that she will have as part of our clerk of courts report in your minutes. So I comply with the Ohio Revised Code. I used to do it, and I asked, why am I doing this? Because it sounds like we have a mayor's court that is nothing about raising money, and that's really not why we have a mayor's court. We have it to provide some convenience to folks in Sharonville, to respond to criminal charges that are happening and provide some local control over what's happening. And so I hated the way that appearance looked, and so we stopped doing it because I said, is there a reason I have to do this? And the original advice I got was we don't, but thanks to continuing education that our mayor's clerks get to do, they updated me and said, no, there's this code section, and I read it, and I'm like, yeah, there's this code section. So I've got to comply with that code section. So you'll be hearing that from now on too. I want to give big thanks to our folks at the Recreation Department, our Public Works group, our police officers, our firefighters, my assistant Anna Ellardine, and all the other folks that were involved in putting on the 3rd of July event over at Princeton. And I want to give thanks to Princeton for helping to be a host. Can't say that everything went off without hiccups, but and there are things that certainly can be improved. And I know that you as council members are going to talk about how you want to see 4th of July celebrated in Sharonville next year. So I know there's more discussion to have, but I thought the event was wonderful. The brand was great entertainment, a nice touch. Fireworks are, I think, above and beyond anything we've ever done fireworks-wise here in Sharonville. So it really is a nice event, and I wanted to offer my thanks to all of those folks who were involved in that planning. We've got another big party coming up next weekend with Sharon Fest, so the Festivals of Sharonville group. I've been very busy in making that, and hopefully another rousing success like it was last year. And hopefully you've taken the opportunity to find ways that you can volunteer to make that a successful event as well. I think anything else I'd want to talk about is going to be covered by other people through their reports. So that's all I have this evening, unless anyone has any questions for me.
Seeing none, we'll go on to our Safety Service Director, Mr. Lucas.
Thank you. Just one item before the legislation. Just a reminder, tomorrow evening at 6:30 in council chambers, MSD is going to be holding a public meeting / Q&A for the 63 impacted property owners on Kemper, Honeywell, and Carpole regarding the proposed sewer project there. So tomorrow evening, 6:30 in council chambers. Legislation-wise this evening, there are 3 items in front of you. Ordinance 2022-31 is an amended piece of legislation that Jim Doughton is here this evening to talk about.
Good evening. Ordinance 2022-31 is our joint use agreement with the University of Cincinnati to funnel our state capital money that we were awarded or will be awarded this year. I believe a copy of the amended version is included. I didn't get a copy, but.
So, since this is a 3rd reading, there would need to be a motion from a council member to amend, and then a second, and then a vote on that amendment. I provided an amended version as a suggested language. Does that make sense to everybody? I can take questions on that if needed.
No, I think we're ready. Mr. Schmidt and his team. We got this, and I've got Matthew Hardman on speed dial, so I know how to get this all done.
Live from California.
Live from California, that's right.
We just be waiting for a plane right now.
No questions?
No, we're good, thank you.
Piece of legislation is Ordinance 2022-39E, dealing with our downtown loop project, and Steve's here to talk about that.
Good evening. This is that first phase of the downtown loop project, Creek Road, Depot Square, and Walnut Street. Bids came in, we had a first bid opening, they came in more than 10% above the engineer's estimate, like we're seeing so often today. So those bids were rejected, or will be rejected. This ordinance will allow us to reopen bids and accept and sign a contract with the lowest and best bidder, assuming they've come in to within 10% of the new engineer's estimate. This ordinance also appropriates a little bit more money for the project since the engineer's estimate increased. It's all just due to today's times. So, any questions?
Anybody have questions? Thank you.
Thank you.
And then Resolution 2022 R19E was is the tax budget. That was the subject of the public hearing tonight. That's it.
Are there any questions for Mr. Lucas? Okay. My report. I just want to say thank you to everybody. Very quickly, I filled a whole bunch of slots for Sharon Fest. So for all of you that are donating your time and everything, thank you, thank you, thank you. Really appreciate it. I know some of you are out of town. That's fine. We'll get you next year because you've got a great trip and you've got a great trip. So we'll get you next year. But I do appreciate everybody volunteering. When we volunteer on Fridays, what that does, it allows us to give a donation or get a donation from Sharonville's festivals for our community, Sharonville Community Fund. So they are also working, three of their members will be working with us on Friday night also. They're going to start off the night working, and then we're just slowly filling in. So they do get a donation for working that evening and having us help them. So that's always a good cause. And that's all I have. We go back to our regular scheduled sessions 2 times a month in August. So we will have 2 meetings in August. Just make sure your calendars reflect that. And oh, it keeps going off. There was a liquor permit request approved for the root beer stand. So that was approved, and no one complained about that. So yay, Sue. Auditors Report, Mr. Cunningham.
Good evening, everybody. We are 50% through the year. The general fund has spent about 47%. If you recall, last month I reported on our general fund situation was just shy of our threshold to where we want to be due to a lot of transfers that we made in that month. Well, because we are spending less than what our budget calls for, that number is actually above what our threshold is now. So we're already where we need to be from that perspective. So we're looking good from that perspective. On the receipt side, I just want to say that we are, in June, we were 9.02% above last year's month in June in 2021 as far as receipts go. And overall, we're 2.87% above year-to-date from last year. And lodging tax, we're up 38.46%. All those things are fantastic news, and it appears that we are closer to being 2/3 of the way through, not half of the way through of our receipts for the year. So, you know, again, all those things are great news. I do want to take some time to talk about 2 things that are not budget related. I'll take this time to talk about number 1, Third Eye Brewery. Tom Schaefer wanted me to let everybody know that, and of course, I think you probably by now have to live under a rock to not know what happened in the last week with them, but they went to the U.S. Open with 4 or 5 beers, and they came out 3rd place overall, which in the entire country, 3rd place.
Yeah.
That is an incredible accomplishment. I think they had 4 beers, maybe 5 that medaled, which was more than anybody else in Cincinnati. I mean, it's just amazing. So I thought I would mention that right here in Sharonville. They're doing an awesome job. So the second thing is Mr. Blomer was kind enough to bring a stack of Sharon Fest signs They're on the table over there, so anybody here that would like to one in their front yard, please take one tonight before you leave. Whatever's left, I will be taking to put it around my neighborhood, so please take one.
Great.
All right?
Thank you.
Thanks.
Are there any questions? Seeing none. Mr. Irie is absent with notice, so we'll go to our law director, Mr. Lippert.
Thank you very much. I don't have any report. I'm available for questions if needed.
Thank you. And now we get to hear from our Director of Parks and Recreation, and everybody should have gotten a really pretty little, oh, look at you. Favorite resident got something too, a little swag.
Check out the swag.
Yeah, thank you.
All right, good evening, Mayor, members of council, city staff. For those of you that don't know me, my name is Michael Blomer, and I'm proud to serve as the Recreation Director for the city of Sharonville. I'm excited to be here this evening to present my 2021 report to council. This report includes many of the great things that our department accomplished last year. After facing one of the most challenging years with 2020's global pandemic, our department was excited to start 2021 with renewed energy. Our year began with similar restrictions to 2020, resulting in reservations still being made to access the center and our activities. Restrictions continued into the spring, canceling large gathering events like Daddy-Daughter, Mom Prom. But finally, in late May, the state of Ohio concluded many of the limitations that impacted our department and our offerings. This announcement was the catalyst that our department had been waiting for to put things back on track and begin to rebuild our wave of momentum. We quickly turned our focus to aquatics, since it was pre-pool season, where we made the decision to open the pool without limited capacities. We were one of the first pools in the area to do so. Many pools opened under limited capacities and changed mid-season. This was followed by Camp Sharonville, various other programs and activities coming back online. Our community center reservation system was finally shut down, and our mask policy ended, much to the excitement of our members and our staff. As 2021 continued, we began to see resurgence in members returning to the center, as well as the pool. The pool was huge. We had a absolute, just complete resurgence in pool memberships. Our membership numbers began to increase, as well as the number of guests that members were bringing to our facility. Youth sports, community events, capital projects fueled much of the second half of our year. Our department's hope for 2021 was to continue to be a constant in the lives of our members and the residents. We discovered early that returning to a new normal looked very different for everyone, and we wanted to be sure that our staff and our offerings were sensitive to that. We know what our department does is critical to our community's well-being, now more than ever. Our mission is to enhance the lives of community through recreational opportunities. That has now taken on new meaning as we continue to extend people's lives and make their lives better. Many of you are familiar with our department. I find it pretty helpful to break it down a little bit. You'll see here our organizational chart. We currently employ 6 full-time employees, 16 part-time employees, and normally about 12 to 18 seasonal employees. That includes Camp Sharonville and swim team coaches. Our facility is 50,000 square feet. We are open 7 days a week. We recently opened on Sunday for an extra hour, so we opened at 11 a.m. instead of noon. That was at the beginning of the year. We're excited about that. So we're open a total now of 86 hours per week. Any budget slide that I put in front of you guys this year would have been better than last year's, so I'm pretty excited about this one. We had a really good year last year, but compared to previous years, it wasn't, outstanding. Our revenue goal in 2020 was $313,700. We finished the year at $330,000. So we went above our goal. We were really excited about that. Our revenue comes from 7 main categories. Memberships, silver sneakers, and program fees are the biggest. That's where we get a lot of our receipts. 2 of those categories, memberships and silver sneakers fees, did hit their estimates. Expenses, you guys had given us an expense budget for the year. We actually finished more than $275,000 below that expense budget. So we were really excited to be under spending what we were given, trying to be good stewards of the dollars that we've been given to move forward with our department. The biggest number that we looked at is cost recovery. We look at this every year. We challenge ourselves to recover as much cost as we can. Our cost recovery in 2021 was 20.8%. Many of our capital projects were pushed to 2021 as a result of the COVID-19 pandemic, most notably the running track and the start of Gorman Park's largest phase to date. The beautiful new Gorman Park shelter and splash pad were completed in 21 and opened this past May 15th. So we are about 2 months open. Pretty exciting stuff. The new layout and amenities have created a lot of excitement for the remainder of the park. We're excited to move on. We still have more to do. You'll hear about that here shortly. The running track was completed in spring of 2021 with the installation of a new low-impact surface, new lines, new signage, and for those of you that have been in the facility, you see the alcoves that we have on our track. New fitness equipment has been added to the alcoves, creating a more fitness-friendly experience. Gower Swings. We added new swings at Gower this year, concluding our project at Gower Playground. Those of you remember our addition of Gower Tower that replaced all the rotted wood structures that we had. We added our inclusive equipment that we got grant money for through CDBG from their last round of funding. And then we kind of topped things off with Gower Swings. We did lose the famous tire swings, which unfortunately caused a lot of injuries and a lot of vomiting. But the new swings, the kids love. They use them regularly, so we're excited about that. The hardest thing for us to do in 2020 was programming. It continued into early 2021. We were still under a lot of restrictions, a lot of limitations. So we struggled a little bit in the early parts of 2021, kind of finding our footing. Once the restrictions were released in May, it was kind of like floodgates. Our staff had been chomping at the bit to get things back into the center. It all started with Camp Sharonville. It all started with the aquatic programming. We knew that aquatics was a huge success for us in 2020. We knew that we made it through the COVID season with those restrictions and people were still wanting to get outside. So we really tried hard in 2021 when we brought pool stuff back, birthday parties, swim team, late night swims, different things that we could do at the pool that were sensitive to different folks' new reality, whether they wanted to spread out, whether they wanted to come swim at a time when the pool was not crowded. But we made that happen, and we did it really well. Keeping our members engaged and active continues to be one of the most important things that we do. Providing opportunities to improve physical and mental well-being are key to accomplishing this. We like to say we program from 0 to 99. We've kind of increased that. We do have some folks in triple digits that come to our facility. They play ping pong, they play cornhole, they play bridge, they come to our different groups, our different clubs, and they're there for enrichment, they're there for fellowship, but at the end of the day, it gets them out of their home or their facility that they live in, and it gets them to a different spot where they're recreating, and that's important. It's important to them. It's important to their family. It's important to their kids. We had a lot of folks in 2020 who did not come back to the facility quickly because they had loved ones that were scared for their safety through COVID. We're really happy to report a lot of those folks have come back. So we're excited to have them. We continue to keep it safe. We continue to keep a deep focus on well-being, physically and mentally. Active adult programming, including the Sharonville Senior Club, Silver Sneakers, Meals on Wheels, finally returned in 2021 when it was safe to do so. I think it was around an 18-month hiatus. It was a long time. We had to really make sure that we had a safe opportunity for those folks to come back. We took a lot of time working with those groups to make sure that when they did come back, they felt comfortable. But this kind of goes back hand in hand with a lot of folks that weren't ready, or their kids told them not to go. So a lot of those groups have come back, and we're pretty pumped about having them. This is one of those folks that we think very fondly of. I want to take a moment to kind of share his story. For those of you that don't know this gentleman, he is, I don't want to say one of our ex-members because we still consider him a member. This is Mr. Melvin. This is Bill Melvin. For those of you that remember, the Sycamore Senior Center closed in 2016. Property was purchased and they did not continue their operation. We opened our doors immediately after their closure to their members. This was the start of our Sycamore Senior membership, which really led us into non-resident memberships. We've done really well with that, having folks that are just outside of our community come to us and recreate with us. So Mr. Melvin is a part of one of our groups that we inherited from Sycamore Senior Center called the Model Building Club. This group consists of aviation model building enthusiasts. A lot are GE retirees. They meet weekly to build models. That's what they do. If you've seen them in the community center when it's not camp season and not basketball season, a lot of them will actually fly some of their models in the gymnasium. It's really cool. Really cool stuff. It's a great way for them to build fellowship among the members, as many are retired looking for hobbies. One of those members, Bill Melvin, he's not necessarily into model building as much as he's into aviation art. This is all watercolor that he does from his home. He's all self-taught. Really neat stuff. During the pandemic, a lot of our clubs, unfortunately, were not able to meet. Again, I mentioned that 18-month hiatus. We had a lot of groups that did not have an opportunity to come, and it hurt. It hurt them, it hurt us. But the Model Building Club was successfully able to reconvene. Unfortunately, Mr. Melvin's health declined during that time. He had to move in with some family out of state to help care for him. But he still corresponds with the group, and he sends them handwritten letters on a regular basis. Kind of, that's his text messaging, right? That's his email. That's how he corresponds with these guys that he met over a long period of time and built these friendships with, these long-lasting, deep core memories. It's really touching to us when we see something like this, because this is exactly why we exist. We exist for Mr. Melvin. We exist for the folks that come to us, and this is the highlight of their day or the highlight of their week. So I just want to share a little piece of the letter he wrote to his group. It says, "Hey Fred, how goes it? Bill Melvin here. Hope you are well and all the other flyboys. Lordy, I do miss that model club. Is everyone attending? Nobody ill or missing? I hope not. What are the guys building?" So to them, this is important. This is the peak of what they're doing right now, and that is something we take incredibly seriously. It's exciting stuff for us. It's exactly why recreation is important to us, why it's important to Sharonville, and why it's important to Mr. Melvin. Our department is committed to continue the excitement and momentum into this year with great projects, programs, and a deepening of relationships within our community. Services we provide are essential to the health, happiness, physical and mental well-being of the public. We look forward to continuing to meet the many different needs of each person that walks through the doors. We are thrilled to be planning some fantastic projects that will continue to enhance our facilities as well as activities. Small changes that you might have already seen throughout the center, like bathroom renovations, trash cans, furniture, water fountains, and more are coming to help us to continue to maintain an updated and nice, clean facility. Additional interior projects include the replacement of our 26-year-old elevator, which we have done with grant money through Community Development Block Grant. Our boiler project that's been on hold for a while is going to come to fruition this year. And we actually were using a cooperative purchasing program to help procure some savings for the city for that. So we're really excited about that one. Gorman Park is about to come into the forefront. Demolition of the Crescentville Center and Gorman Pool are going to pave the way for more park improvements, including a dog park, additional shelter, outdoor fitness area, which we are super excited about, improved trails, and more parking. We are in an excellent position to continue to improve our offerings and amenities. If there's one good thing we can take away from the 18 months of COVID restrictions, it's that we have a much better channel of communications with our public now. We have a renewed sense of community pride. There's a lot of people in Sharonville that wear that I Heart Sharonville shirt really proudly. We gave out a ton of them at 4th of July. People were losing their mind for them. We had to reorder them. It's exciting. It's an exciting time to be a Sharonville resident. We hope to make the most of both of these kind of things that we found through COVID by creating and offering what people truly need into the future. One of the things I normally fail to do when I get excited up here is I forget to say thank you. So it's important to me to thank the mayor, thank council, thank all of the city staff, all the department heads that work so great with our department. I especially want to thank my entire team at Recreation. Our team used to be a lot bigger. It's shrunk a little bit, but we still have some of the best people in recreation in the country. Their continued commitment to our mission and serving the community is an incredible thing to be a part of. I ended last year's presentation with some thank you cards. For those of you that are Jimmy Fallon fans, I think this is kind of fun and appropriate. So I'm going to do it again. So thank you to the camp counselors from 2021, 2022, and every year before that, doing whatever it takes to ensure that the campers have a fun and memorable summer. Like getting smashed in the face with a pie is what makes camp and recreation special. Thank you to our young people for being there for one another during tough times. Sharonville is a special place full of special people, and we are so glad to be a part of that. And lastly, thank you to the community for having fun with us. Creating fun is our favorite thing to do, and we are glad you enjoy it. And I will leave you with that. If you have any questions, I'm happy to answer them.
Are there any questions, comments? I just want to say one thing. First of all, great job, thank you. But the mayor talked about Sharonfest. Sharonfest doesn't happen without his leadership. So I think he wears a lot of hats in Sharonville, and you should just be commended for that. So thank you.
I appreciate it. Yeah, Sharonfest is a deep love. For those of you that don't know, I met my wife at the Fireman's Festival. We met right beyond second base. So I kind of have a super deep commitment to Sharonfest since it is the semi-extension of the Fireman's Festival.
Yes.
So as long as I'm married, I think it's going to continue.
Just make sure you make that clear that you met where the second base was. That could have.
Yeah.
The location of second base.
Want to make sure that,
That's
we're not making, yeah.
Yes.
Nobody send my wife the link to this video. Anything else?
Yeah, just a quick note, Mike. I thought when you managed the transition on Touch a Truck, I really thought that was outstanding. I watched your staff work really to meticulously prepare the whole site. It was really a welcome site. I thought it was an absolutely great event, and everyone was locked in. It was wonderful to see all the department heads working together, police, fire, public works, recreation, everybody to make it such a wonderful success. And that's a lot of leadership, and I congratulate you and thank you for it.
Thank you. Yeah, that was kind of a 0-hour thing, but we worked really well on 0-hour projects. So we were excited to do it, and I think we're excited to continue that
what we
into
hear.
the future. Yeah.
Mr. Wilson?
Just wanted to say just a little bit about the July 4th celebration. The fireworks were great, but so was the music. The remains were incredible. They played a set where I think that it was just a lot of fun music, and it really appealed to the crowd that was there. People didn't get there, they really missed out, but it was a great deal. Great job.
Thank you. Yeah, we have a little bit of experience with music now in festivals, and we know, based on the crowd last year and the folks that we saw at the event, what demographic we were missing, and we knew that the remains would bring them, and they did, and they danced, and they had a good time, and that helped. That helped a lot, and I think it helped the event. But yeah, the fireworks were out of control. It's the best fireworks show Sharonville's ever seen.
Anyone else? Thank you.
Thank you all. Like Mr. Cunningham said, if you would like a Sharonfest sign,
Yes.
please take one. And thank you for volunteering.
It's an opportunity now for residents that wish to be heard. You're good? Okay, thank you, sweetie. Council committees, community development, Mr. Wilson.
Thank you. Thanks to Paul Coulter, who covered our meeting for BZA and Planning Commission this past month. Anything to report from you? Anything exciting?
No,
missed my time on the Board of Zoning Appeals, so it was nice to step back in as council role there. But no, the meetings went well, and the committees and Board of Appeals did what they were supposed to do in terms of enforcing and, the laws of the city and bringing in some nice development plans for the city as well. So, thank you.
You built a strong program. The next meeting will be August the 3rd at 6:30 for BZA and Planning Commission.
Perfect, thank you. Community Services, Mr. Lovett.
My report is on file with Ms. Buhite. I do want to state that Wednesday, August 17th, we are having a special meeting instead of our typical first Wednesday of the month. We're doing it on the 17th instead. All are invited. We're going to talk over forward 4th of July's and forward festivals and things like that. We're going to try to really see, listen, Mr. Blomer and others, how they would think about improving the festival. The goal here is to really kind of get, a plan together before we go to budget and before we look at other things coming in the future, as opposed to a couple months lead time, give ourselves a, old college chance here. So, figure get on it early, especially when everything's fresh in our minds. Definitely fresh in his mind. I'm not sure if you've digested it yet, because it was a lot, but certainly excited for that, the opportunity to chat through everything. Everybody's invited. Love to have anybody that has an opinion. Yes, sir.
When is it again?
We're going to do Wednesday, August 17th at 4 p.m.
Casey, is that going to interfere with a mayor's court?
Potentially.
Okay.
Where are you guys meeting?
We're just
We're going to try to meet here, but if mayor's court's going to be here, we'll do the rec.
Yeah.
Mayor's Court starts at 4. It's
Yeah.
4 till question mark.
Yeah,
We'll do
well,
the rec.
yeah, that's fine. We'll just do the rec center. Yeah, let's move that.
And I'll make sure Terry gets that
I
out.
appreciate that. Yeah, no, that'd be fine. We'll just do it at the rec center. That's easy. So it's just a meeting of the minds. Yes, sir.
Just trying to
Yeah.
get Ms. Hopkins'
Yeah,
attention. I'd like
go
just a short do-over. I said the wrong date for the meetings, the BZA and Planning Commission's August 10th, not August 3rd. Thank you.
Okay, not a problem. Thank you.
That's all I got.
Okay. Budget and Finance, Mr. Cook.
Thank you. No report this evening, but I will state that our next Budget and Finance meeting will be Tuesday, August 9th at 6 p.m. at the Administrative Conference Room. Moving over to Project Oversight, we did meet tonight, and I will have my report at the next council meeting.
Perfect,
Thank you.
Honored citizens, Mrs. Knight.
Yes, I was hoping to get an update from Amy Sharpshire, what place the Sharks came in, but she hasn't got back with me. But tonight I'm honoring all the Sharonville Shark parents, starting with our president, Amy Sharpshire, and our vice president, Katie Schmid. We have over 75 families and 137 swimmers on the team. I don't know if anybody realizes, but it takes 40 volunteers just to run one meet. Our parents always step up when we need help. A good example is Glenn Lovett, one of our timers, got sick, and he stepped right up and took over the duty. Kevin Hardman is our announcer, and I've gotten so many compliments how you just keep the meet going. So, and I'd also like to thank Michael Bloomer and the rec center. His staff is just bent over backwards for the swim team. If we need something, they're there to help us. So that's who I'm honoring tonight.
Great, thank you, and I hope they bring home first place. Law and Public Safety, Mr. Schmidt.
Yes, there are 5 Tuesdays in August, so the next Law and Public Safety Committee meeting will be August 2nd, 4 o'clock, Administrative Conference Room. And Mike, I forgot to mention this past Saturday morning at 10:30, all 4 pickleball courts were occupied, and there was a waiting line of people to get into it. And I think that's representative of how you respond to community needs, and it was really pleasant to see. So thanks again for that, Mike.
Okay, rule suspension for first and only reading with immediate effectivity for ordinance 2022-39E and resolution 2022-R19E. So moved by Mr. Tankersley, second by Mr. Wilson. Any discussion? All those in favor, yes?
Yes. Yes.
Those opposed, no. And that does carry. Hang on just a second. Is that right? Okay, we're going to move into unfinished business. Authorizing the Safety Service Director to enter into a joint use agreement with the University of Cincinnati in conjunction with a $600,000 grant. This is a third reading. Is there a motion to pass ordinance 2022-31? So moved by Mr. Coulter, second by Mrs. Knight. Is there any discussion?
Is this the amended
Yes,
version?
this is the amended,
Okay,
so
thank
Paul, do
you.
you have the amended version? Oh, okay. It's in the packet? Hang on. Oh, yeah, that's right, we did Can you read the proposed amended version, please? Thank you.
Vicky, is it okay if I just read the changes, or?
Yes, that's
Okay.
fine. You can just read what you would like changed.
So, the original ordinance called for the joint use agreement to already have been completed, but it has to go through approval at the state of Ohio level. So we changed the language to read, will be negotiated, and that the joint use agreement is currently a draft and attached to the ordinance and made a part hereof instead of having been completed.
Perfect, thank you. Is there a motion for the amendment? So moved by Mr. Schmidt, second by Mr. Wilson. And we have a motion to pass this by Mr. Coulter, Mrs. Knight. Hang on just a second. She didn't leave me her list. Okay. Mr. Tankersley?
Yes.
Mr. Wilson?
Yes.
Mr. Coulter?
Yes.
Mr. Lovett?
Yes.
Mr. Cook?
Yes.
Mrs. Knight?
Yes.
And Mr. Schmidt?
Yes.
Perfect, thank you. That motion does carry. New business. Amending the 2022 appropriations and authorizing the Safety Service Director to sign a contract with the lowest and best bidder on the Downtown Loop project and declaring an emergency. Is there a motion to pass? So moved by Mr. Cook, second by Mr. Lovett. Is there any discussion on this ordinance? Seeing none, roll call. Mr. Tankersley?
Yes.
Mr. Wilson?
Yes.
Mr. Coulter?
Yes.
Mr. Lovett?
Yes.
Mr. Cook?
Yes.
Mrs. Knight?
Yes.
And Mr. Schmidt?
Yes.
Perfect, thank you. Resolution 2022 R19E, adopting the 2023 tax budget and declaring an emergency. Is there a motion to pass this? So moved by Mr. Tankersley, second by, let me spell Tankersley right, second by Mr. Cook. All right, is there any discussion on this?
Just to make a quick comment, Kevin, I checked a few years back, and there was only one or two other communities in the state of Ohio that have no inside millage. And I think that makes us extremely special and a very exclusive club. And I think we really, I'm amazed always at the number of citizens who don't realize that. But it's very worth our while to be, we're very special in that category. Thank you, Mayor.
Thank you. Okay, Mr. Tankersley? Mr. Wilson?
Yes.
Mr. Coulter?
Yes.
Mr. Lovett?
Yes.
Mr. Cook?
Yes.
Mrs. Knight?
Yes.
And Mr. Schmidt?
Yes.
Perfect, thank you. Okay, I've been asked to do a voice vote. Our committee of council has been asked to appoint 2 people to a housing program, and I am going to put before you that Mr. Coulter and Mr. Cook have asked and are willing to take this on. So I would like to have a motion that says Mr. Coulter and Mr. Cook will be doing this for us. So moved by Mr. Wilson. Is there a second? Mr. Schmidt? All those in favor, yes? Yes. Those opposed, no. Get that. Okay, so thank you, gentlemen. Yes.
So I'm either being hyper-technical because I'm a lawyer and that's what I'm supposed to do, or I misheard something, but on the unfinished business ordinance, I feel like we passed the motion to amend, but we didn't actually pass the ordinance. Am I wrong?
No, we did pass the ordinance.
Okay.
It was already approved and then went into discussion. That's when we amended it.
Fair enough. Thank you very much.
I got with Matthew. Trust me, before he went. I went with the pro. So yes, we did approve it and then, yeah. So yes. Nope, we got it all. Thank you though. Thanks for keeping us honest. All right, are there any other matters that wish to be heard this evening? Mrs. Knight?
I just got word, we came in third, we beat Wyoming, so that's great. I'm excited. And real quick, we had the fire chief come to the senior citizen meeting, and he was discussing about knock boxes for the residents so they don't have to have their door knocked down. But he also had another comment. He said anybody that wears their Apple Watches to bed, they've been getting calls because you're not moving your arm and they're thinking you're unresponsive. So they've gotten 5 calls so far. So I don't know if it's the new Apple Watches or any Apple Watches, but beware if you're not moving, you might be getting a knock at the door from the fire department. Just a little comment.
There you go. Good to know. Thank you. Anybody else? Mr. Tankersley?
And I will not be able to make the first meeting in August due to personal.
Okay, not a problem.
Thank you.
Hope it all goes well. Anybody else? Okay, is there a motion for adjournment? So moved by Mr. Tankersley, second by Mr. Wilson. All those in favor say yes. Those opposed, no. And we stand adjourned. Thank you.